And we're back with another Rimworld tutorial. And in this part 2, we're going to cover something I missed in the last one, and that is to do with caravans and health tending. This person was injured during an ambush, and as you can see, they have not bothered to apply a tend to themselves. This is because the self-tend tick box has not been ticked. Once that has been ticked and we unpause the game, they will start tending themselves, which means now they've actually got the tend quality done, which means they've started to heal up and they've stopped bleeding. Otherwise, they would have bled out on the road if we hadn't have done that. I do tend, though, to untick this box afterwards and only tick it when necessary. You don't want people self-tending themselves because it gets a reduced tend quality. Another thing as well to note is if they do not have doctoring set up down here before they leave the tile, then they won't have doctoring on them while they're traveling. So always make sure that the person you're trading with has doctoring enabled before they leave. Once our caravan comes back and has a quick rest, we are immediately going to send them out again. We need more guns. We need more armor. We need everything. We're going to be... We butchered up a whole bunch more animals, we garbered ourselves a whole bunch more camel hides and things, and we also included a plain leather bedroll so they have something to sleep in. Namely because they're going to be going a longer distance than before. In fact, let's make that 6 meals. We'll confirm that. It's going to take a real-time travel of 0.8 days to reach this settlement. The reason we're going to that settlement, these two are both due to restock. That one in 22 days, that one in 28 days. We put down a caravan hitching post right here. The reason we want to put it there as opposed to where it was over here, this is where the animals get left while the caravan is being loaded, and putting them near to the loading area where all of the resources are going to be drastically speeds up the process. Don't worry too much about running out of animals. The wildlife on the map, actually 1 second. There you go. The wildlife on the map replenishes rather rapidly, so be more than happy to just kill everything that shows up. Still, do stay away from things that can attack you back. That will make things very uncomfortable. While our caravan is out on the world map doing its journey, it's time to upgrade our beds. These beds here were made initially while our build art person was very weak at construction. And you'll notice here that these poor quality beds give a rest effectiveness of 92%. Whereas a normal bed, which is quite easy to obtain, gives a rest effectiveness of 100%. So what we want to do is add in new beds and then replace the old ones, preferably with something better. In fact, if we could get a good bed, that would increase rest effectiveness by 8%, saving them 8% of their sleep time, which means they're more productive. Generally, as your builder gets better, you're going to want to upgrade your beds and preferably get excellent or even masterwork beds as time goes by. When it comes to shopping, the main thing you're looking for this early on, heavy SMGs. Heavy SMGs have good damage, decent range, and they work well with weak shooters. Things like assault rifles, bolt actions, they don't work so well with weak shooters. However, if you can't get a heavy SMG, other cost-efficient options are the assault rifle, followed by the LMG. The charge rifle and the minigun are too expensive, and while they are good weapons, the minigun does slow you down, and the charge rifle is just, well, really expensive. While we were here, we were also able to pick up another shock lance. That's two. 2 shock lances is incredibly useful. We would also settle for an insanity lance. With 2 shock lances, we can now open up the ancient danger on our map. Going to the top, you will notice there is a pawn here. When you have very low population levels early on, the storyteller will give you slaves, the option to buy slaves in a lot of places. This will dry up as your population expands. Once you get about 8 people, I don't think they show up anymore. Looking at this one, they are lazy and have chemical interest. We are not interested in them. Plus, we have 2 shock lances now. We'll definitely be able to recruit more people soon. Every time you complete a trade with someone, you occasionally get goodwill with them. So, for example, our relations with them have gone up by 5. The more you trade with someone, the more they will be your friend. It's all based on the amount and quantity of resources traded. Once they become our allies, that will give us additional advantages, which is another advantage of trade and another advantage of having 3 of the same trade partners nearby. However, for the next 21 turns, there will be no new places to shop at. However, this place has grenades and a doomsday I would like to get my hands on if we can acquire enough money in the interim. Now that all the trade locations are tapped out, it's time to get into research. So we're going straight into microelectronics. At the same time, our trader is now going to be spending most of their time at home where they can use their intellectual skills. For that, we're going to go into work and we're going to change the research to number 2. Now, the way this works is everything on the left that is number 2 takes priority. So firefighting, patient, doctoring, basic, warden, and handle will be done first. But after that, they will do research. The only real things that are going to be interfering here is the wardening and the handling. And those 2 are quite important to keep the animals tame. And the prisoners recruited, of course. This is also a good time to start reinforcing our defenses. So we're going to go with a little trap corridor. This is a very traditional method. The plan here is quite simple. We're going to put down 5 spike traps inside this corridor. If the enemies are coming in, well, we're going to leave these doors open, but if the enemies are coming in, there's too many of them for us to deal with, or we want to soften them up first, we will simply lock this door. The enemies will be forced to come across the traps, and we'll kill 2 of them, maybe injure 1. The reason for the doors is so that the pawns don't have to walk across the traps. Oh, social fights. This way they can walk in here and replace those traps when the time comes without having to walk across them. If a pawn walks across a trap, they have a percentage chance of actually setting it off. There are traits that mitigate this, but your best bet is just don't walk across them ever. Now, social fights are a thing that will happen. Under social here, you can see how much everyone likes or hates each other. For example, Art here hates Muppet, and Muppet hates Art. You can actually look for the reason why. Harmed me, insulted me, all sorts of stuff. There's not really much you can do about it bar arresting them. As in, you could arrest one of these pawns and put them in prison for a while, and that would allow you to break up the fight. Personally, I just sort of let them beat each other up. Hopefully they don't rip off each other's legs. That can and has happened. Yeah. This is Rimworld for you. People will absolutely beat the snot out of each other for nothing. Good thing to do is force the winner to pick up the loser. They don't always beat each other unconscious, but when they do, they seem to really make a mess. The reason we force the winner to rescue the other one is it gives them a plus 15 moodlet towards each other, or plus 15 social towards each other, because they actually rescue them. It just helps counteract it. They've also got this cathartic fight thing going on, so if you check under Muppet, they don't hate them quite so much anymore. They've got plus 38 for the cathartic fight. You will get this quest that shows up. It's called Ship to the Stars. If you jump to it, it's basically this location over here. It's one of those end game things you can do. It will require you to trek all the way across the map. We are located way over here somewhere, so no, I would not advise you to do it in the early game. You need to be much later in the game when you're going to be able to caravan all the way there. Next up, we've also got a heat wave. This will increase the amount of temperature around the place. This is not going to be great for us because we do not have access to good clothing to insulate us against heat, so you're going to want to go into temperature, and passive coolers are your best way of keeping the place cool. Then, you know what, we'll close one of the doors at least, but then make sure that you keep one or even two of these in here and keep the temperature below about 30 degrees, and that should keep everyone happy. The first crop of herbal medicine has come in. Once that hits, what you want to do is go under assignments and change everyone's medicine's assignment to herbal or worse. You don't want to be wasting your good medicine on bruises and injuries. You want to save that good medicine for things that might potentially kill you, like plagues, diseases, infections. We do have a heat stroke warning on build Art because they had been outside all day. This has driven up their heat stroke, but the moment they come back inside where we have a couple of coolers, it's all going down again. So it's 27 degrees inside, 34 outside, and it goes to about 45 during the day. So when you get a heat wave, just keep people inside a reasonable amount. A little bit of heat stroke is fine, but if they start getting too much, bring them inside or zone them inside so that they can't actually leave, just to make sure that they don't overheat. You're going to want to acquire as many people as you can as quickly as you can. So right now, we are planning on expanding our population, so we're building in a few rooms here so that we can imprison people, feed them, convert them. However, we got a little bit of a slowdown because we're waiting for two of our pawns to recover. Actually, Muppet's fully recovered. Build Art is still recovering slightly. Those social fights can put a horrible kink in your plans. It's just the way the game works. Traders have shown up. Now, this is good. Normally when traders show up, you have a couple of options available to you. The one we have here is we're going to use them to take care of the ancient danger problem we've got. See, there's an ancient danger located on just about every map. Not all of them, but most of them have one. Some have two, but that is very rare. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to come down here and we're going to open up this ancient danger while they are on the map, so we can use them as basically fodder to protect us. Now, we don't want to get too close to the ancient danger, so we're going to stay back here and shoot out the walls. Another option you can do is you can deconstruct a corner piece to see what's in there, though that is considered an exploit by some people. So once that wall is just about done, come on, there we go. We will start running away a little bit. Shoot it just one more time. Done. Now, what you can face in here is a whole variety of things. You can face centipedes, as in the mechanoid versions, lots of nasty stuff. So my advice, always have at least one shock lance, preferably two on you. We have one on this guy and one on Medical Social. We left them behind because they move the slowest. All three of these pawns can move at 4.6, which means they should be able to outrun just about anything in here except for Scythers. And we should be able to get back to here before the Scythers would catch up with us if they were in here. All we're really seeing, though, is a couple of Mega Spiders. They move pretty slow as well. We could probably kite these enemies. All right, let's start annoying them. After drawing their attention, we are now going to run back towards the traders back here. And the traders will have to fight them as well. This is just a quick and easy way to take care of these ancient dangers. What you can get in here varies quite substantially. You might get a ranged weapon, you might get a close combat weapon, you might get no weapons at all and just get components and things, but usually they're at least valued enough that you can trade them for things at a trade station. We're going to let them fight it out. This takes care of the danger for us. Oh, and we'll let everyone back to work. One of the other reasons we were doing this was we were going to tackle this ancient danger before the traders showed up. At some point, we did have the two shock lances. There is 6 ancient crypto sleep caskets in just about all of them. They usually contain ancients, and there's usually several of them alive and kicking that we would like to recruit, and they're very quick to recruit. This is an easy source of recruits around this level, assuming you've got a few shock lances and or insanity lances to go with it. We're going to seal up this room, though, because we're probably going to turn this into a quick default prisoner area, and you can deconstruct that table so people can get out a little bit quicker. The heat wave is over, the trade caravan is still here, and we're going to open up these ancient crypto sleep caskets. Now, you can't walk up to them and actually open them manually. That is a bad idea. Several of these will be hostile and try and kill you. They can be have marine armor, incendiary launchers, all sorts of nasty weaponry. Opening these up is a little bit of a risk. However, we have 2 shock lances, so we can knock 4 of them unconscious and take other weapons and armor, which would be very good for us. So the fastest way and easiest way to open them is just to shoot them. Use a weapon that's single shot. Using automatics is pointless. You're just wasting time and it's going to take you longer to recover. You want to shoot them quick and then see what you're dealing with, and then it quickly allows you to retreat if necessary. Alright, we shot that and nothing happened. That means whatever's in there there's either nothing in there, or it's not a person, or it's dead. Okay, this is slightly more uncommon, but what we've got here is we've got 4 human corpses, as in the people put in were dead. We do have 2 live ones. Let's hope some of them are good at crafting. We have decided we are going to recruit both of these pawns, namely because they've actually got half-decent shooting, and we can find uses for them in the colony. Honestly, you want to recruit everyone. Unless they have absolutely terrible traits, you pretty much want to recruit everyone. This one is going to be taken back immediately, and then we'll heal them up when we get them back. And what we're doing here is we are rescuing them. One unique thing about all of the corpses that will be in here, they actually contain gear on them. Normally, corpses drop everything off them when they die, but the people that come out of these crypto sleep caskets don't. You are going to want to strip all of them. They will provide you with a whole bunch of nice tasty goodies, namely gold and advanced components. Pawns that you rescue have a percentage chance of joining you. You usually only get offered rescue pawns from those crypto sleep caskets, and sometimes they fall out of the sky. Assuming they join you, that's great. If they don't, well, we'll see what Juno does and we can demonstrate. Before we can demonstrate with Juno, we've got ourselves a raid. Group of Outlanders. Prepare for a while and then attack. Prepare attacks are the largest, and we're dealing with 8 humans. That's actually a reasonable sized amount, though we do have 5 people, even if one of them is rather badly injured and suffering from an infection right now. You can double click to see what's going on, and we can see that quite a few of them have guns. There's at least 3 revolvers in there, some knives, a fire foam popper for some reason, and 1 Molotov. The Molotov will be useful for disposing of their bodies. We're going to wait until they spread out a bit and decide which ones we want to recruit. See, the thing is, we have 2 shock lances, meaning we could knock 4 of them unconscious. So let's see, what we want to do at this point is start cherry-picking colonists for our colony. This is a hard one to tutorial because your needs will always be different depending on what colony you're running and what colonists you find. Simplest thing to explain, though, is this is our newest colonist, and they are very strong in animals. We already have someone who's doing our art. We always have someone who's doing our social, so the only thing they're going to be doing is animals, and that's it. Currently, Cook Plants Animals is actually our animal handler, and they actually have better animal handling skills. However, we're going to take them entirely out of animal handling. We're going to let our animals guy take care of all of that on their own, and that frees them up to do other things, mainly specialize in plants and cooking, which means they're spending less time wasted on animals. You want to effectively have specialized pawns for most things. About 2 or 3 pawns doing construction, but the thing is, construction is sort of cyclical. It happens and then it stops, and then you're not doing any for ages, and then when you need something built, it usually needs to be done quite quickly. So having 3 to 4 people who've got decent construction, always good, and one who's really good so that you can do high quality beds and items. Mining, also cyclical. You're going to need a few people who are good at it. Then cooking, you usually need 1 or 2 good cooks and you're done. Plants, 1 or 2. Animals, 1 or 2. Crafting, early on you're only going to need 1, but later on you're going to want 3 or 4. Art, always only 1. More than 1 artist is kind of pointless. Medical, as many people who can get it as a secondary is great, but usually 1 or 2 really good ones, at least 2 really good ones so you can do surgeries. Social, you only need 1 good one, but having a few is handy so that you can send them off the map to trade and still have someone left behind to do recruitment and wardening. And then finally, intellectual, the more the better, but you're going to need at least a couple of specialists so you can go through the tech tree in a reasonable time frame. Looking through these colonists, Pyromaniac, no. Pyromaniac, no. Pyromaniac, no. The reason Pyromaniacs are an automatic no is they can and will start fires randomly. No matter how high their needs are, they can be having a perfect day and then they will just go on a fire starting spree. 9 out of 10 times, or even 99 times out of 100, you might be able to manage that, but if it happens at a bad time, it can cause huge problems. Or they'll get themselves killed by going on a fire starting spree in the middle of a raid and get shot down because they leave cover. Then you've got your very neurotics. They are possible to handle, but early game not so much. It's mental break threshold plus 14%. So if we look under needs here, they have a minor break threshold of 49%, meaning if they go below that, they're going to go to mental break threshold. A normal pawn has a mental break threshold of 35%. Yes, you do not want to get any pawns that are very neurotic early on. And then we've got another very neurotic pawn over here as well. So we've got 2 very neurotics and 3 pyromaniacs. In fact, this one here is even worse because they've got a neck scar, which, watch out for neck scars. They reduce consciousness, moving, manipulation, blood flow, all sorts of things. It's terrible. Also, this one has Alzheimer's. That leaves these 3 pawns as potential recruitment people, and this is not unusual to have to exclude so many for problem traits. Body modder is fine. Psychically hypersensitive is actually a negative in the base game. There is no positives to being psychically hypersensitive. The only things that can affect it are psychic drones or psychic soothes. Psychic drones are the things that give you negative mood, and the more psychically sensitive you are, the worse it's going to be. It's not a game ender, but it's definitely considered a negative. And then we've got a nudist, which will get about a -3 if they're forced to wear clothing. They will be wearing clothing, so just think of it as a flat -3 mood penalty. We are going to hire these, well, at least 2 of these, preferably Lewis, because they've got crafting, which is the one thing we're missing from our lineup. If we brain damage them, though, we can do it with a shock lance. We might just have to hire Nitro. They've got crafting 11, and the very neurotic does give them a global work speed bonus, so they would be a great crafter. It's just I'd prefer not to if we could avoid it. Right, they're going to prepare for a while and then attack. Until then, we're going to get our people prepared. Enemies are beginning their assault. We're going to go outside with some shock lances and prep them. As the enemies come closer, you want to bring out the pawn that's got the psychic shock lance equipped. This shows up under their equipment section, and each pawn can only hold 1 belt item. The only 2 that really matter in the base game are the Psychic Shock Lance and the Insanity Lance. Now what we're going to do is just select it, which shows up down here when the pawn is drafted, and target the pawn we want to knock unconscious, which is Ezzy. They're a nudist who's good at animals, medical, intellectual. They make an excellent scientist. And there we go, they're unconscious. Now one thing to check immediately is, yeah, they got psychic shock to the brain, but they didn't actually cause damage. Sometimes when you shock someone, their brain gets set on fire. Well, their head gets set on fire, they get set on fire. Then what we want to do is make sure we slow down the rest. You see, we're looking for one other pawn we'd like to grab, which I believe is Lewis. So we need to wait until Lewis is in range. They will be a second, so I think we'll just stall these for a moment until we're ready. Perfect, now we'll zap Lewis. Oh, Muppet, get back into cover. Okay, so Lewis is zapped as well, and they have Psychic Shock to the brain. Perfect. Now we'll bring everyone back inside. That's 2 down, and only a few to go. We'll just come back inside and get ready in here. Now, because we've closed all the doors here, they should immediately come down here and go through these traps, which allows us to kill them all. We have put Muppet into bed so that the 10 can be of the highest quality possible. Now, as you'll notice, 1, 2. Okay, it usually takes 2 traps, but sometimes it takes more. We'll grab that in a minute. Then, that person's pounding on the door a little bit, but shouldn't cause too many issues. Wow, they must be nimble. Yeah, nimble people have very little chance of setting off traps. That means they're able to get by without setting it off. Nicely done. We are now going to unleash our animal. That sets the dog loose. And yeah, that's 2 down. Once that guy goes down, I'm pretty sure they'll retreat now. Yep, there you go. When it comes to enemies, once they start running, they have a huge thirst to pound through your doors. It's just the way they're programmed. So even though these ones were down here and could have just went this way to get out here, they've decided to come up here and pound on this door. But that's fine. It just gives us more time to shoot a few more of them. One thing we like to do with prisoners is we put in tables and chairs. This allows them to avoid the 8 without table debuff, which keeps them happier, which means they're more likely to be converted quickly. We also stick in a light. Reason being, they don't like being in the dark. So you give them light, you give them a table, they're sorted. Also, this pawn is a nudist, so leaving them nude is fine. Normally, though, you would stick in something like some tribal wear to keep them clothed. But barring that, that's pretty much about all you can do unless you can get enough statues to throw in there as well, which we might get around to in a little bit. Prison break. Excellent example. Let's grab everyone and let's line them up. For one thing, we don't want them to be attacking just yet. Using our guns would more than likely kill them. So, then we're going to get our zones. I'm not sure which one's breaking. This one seems to be wandering in restraint slowed, and this one appears to be wandering. So I'm going to assume the one without the restraints is the one that's doing the prison break. We're going to try and stick an animal in front of them to slow them down. It used to be I would keep my animals in the area, but unfortunately alpacas can no longer be zoned into a section. When people prison break, they suddenly get keys for everything. I don't know why that is. Looks like we'll just have to attack diagonally because they have focused in on the dog. You'll see that we've actually kicked dirt in their eyes to slow them down. Well, the reason you want to use your fists and you don't use guns, you're less likely to kill them if you used your fists. Once prisoners are captured, though, their chances of getting killed from getting shot and stuff goes way down. Raw people that are attacking you, they're far more likely to die. Right, we didn't do any major damage that can't be fixed. While we're here, we're going to capture Juno. Juno has decided not to stay with us, unfortunately, so we're just going to make that a prisoner bed. And then we're going to try to arrest them. Our chances are 100%. Your chances of arrest are determined by your social skill when you're trying to arrest people. You can also arrest strangers who are wandering by, though that will anger their faction. So we're just going to grab them, immediately chuck them in bed, and then take their resources. One thing, food that's left in a room automatically becomes the prisoner's property. So any food that's in a room, or if you decide to make, say, a storage room for food, a prisoner room temporarily, you can't access that food because it's classified as being for prisoners. Plagues, illnesses, stuff like that, they're a reasonably common occurrence. When they happen, what you want to do is find the affected pawns and change them to your best quality medicine. It'll tell you the names of which ones are affected and also give you arrows leading towards them. So we'll just grab them both and set them to use industrial tech medicine, which is the best we have for now. You will start to run out of that stuff though, so we will have to trade for some when the time comes. When you tend a plague or any disease, they have the plague's severity, which is the 31% at the top, and the immunity, which is just about to hit 40% there down the bottom. If the plagues hits 100% before your immunity hits 100%, the pawn will die. The higher the tend quality, the better your immunity boost you will give to your pawn. Some pawns have weaker immunity due to traits, and the older a pawn gets, the weaker their immunity gets. The older you are, the less likely you are to survive illnesses. This is why we avoid hiring pawns who are over 50, 60-ish. They can have huge problems, especially with surviving illnesses and getting unwanted birthday presents like Alzheimer's, bad backs, that type of stuff. Cook Plant is just about to come up on immunity 100%, and when they do, they get that little shield symbol, meaning they're completely safe. So, the plague got as far as 74%, so they were quite safe because we had good medicine. At the same time, this will stay here and slowly go down until they're completely free of it. In the meantime, it does give them a negative with serious pain and sick. This is why we try to have as much mood as possible, because on top of the serious pain and sick, they could get injured, they could get shot at, people could die, they could see corpses. You want to crank up mood as high as you can, or you will end up with more mental breaks. A war merchant has come by. These are actually quite handy, not for the weapons you can buy off of them, but for the trash you can sell. All of the spears, bows and arrows and stuff that get left behind by your enemies, you can just sell them off. This allows us to sell off all those trash revolvers and melee weapons we picked up along the way. We'll keep some of the better ones because we are about to get 3 new recruits shortly. Ezzy has now joined us. Her speciality is going to be intellectual, with the secondary in animals, and actually medicine and intellectual are going to be her primaries. We need more researchers. We're already 30 days in, and we only have about 30 days left to get all of our research done, and we're not even finished microelectronics yet. You can have 2 researchers, or even 3 or 5, all working at different research benches, and all of them contribute to the progress. This allows you to massively speed up research. So the more researchers you have, the better. When it comes to keeping our people happy now, what we've started doing is giving them individual rooms. For example, someone here is sleeping in, let's just say Muppet. Muppet here is sleeping in a slightly impressive bedroom. This is giving them +3 mood. If we check someone, say, like Cook Plant's animals, they are sleeping in a mediocre barracks, which is giving them a -4, and they're getting a -3 from disturbed sleep. The place is too busy and people keep walking by. This is a -7 mood points for having just a mediocre room. This Muppet is getting 3, a +3, as opposed to a -7. So individual rooms are quite powerful. What you can do, though, is pile bunches of statues in here and drive this place up into really pleasant territory. That's a little bit more difficult, but it depends what you're trying to do. And to demonstrate everything, I'm trying to go with the single room approach, as this is usually the preferred one by most people. Now that we have a few moments, we're going to replace these wooden walls with marble walls. We just basically double line it so we don't lose the room bonus while we're doing it. Otherwise, it may lead to awkward moments. Not completely essential, but it is nicer to do it that way. Then we get another raid, which is just another recruitment opportunity. Down here we have Weasel, Quick Sleeper, Bloodlust Jogger, but mainly they could be a decent artist for us. So we are going to shock lance them. We are going to check, and brain damage. Oh, well, there goes half their brain. Trauma Savant. Huh. That's actually pretty rare. What that means is they get a 50% bonus to their manipulation. We might actually keep those. Normally, if someone gets brain damage, you're done with them, namely because they're just terrible at anything after that point. But Trauma Savant actually increases their manipulation. It just makes them worse at all the social stuff, which we don't really care about. Anyway, we're going to close that door behind us and go back to doing what we were doing. You can go there. Yeah, so 2 wooden traps will just about nimble again. Oh, damn, that's a lot of nimbles. Oh, whoa. How is that person getting there? We need to get our dog in. Okay, Lobov is going to start eating into them. Right, and we're going to bring a few more people forward to make this a little bit easier. And come on. Perfect. Which tribespeople are fleeing? My God, there was actually a fair few of them. There's 2 groups that actually arrived in this raid. We've already wiped out one. The other one is coming in here now, though I think they'll break pretty quick as well. Our next recruit is Lewis, and this is a situation you will find yourself in repeatedly. Their crafting skill is absolutely terrible. We want to train their crafting skill up to be something better, so for training purposes, we're going to give them a terrible job. First thing we're going to do is we're going to make an electric crafting bench outside, and we'll have a work speed penalty because it's outside. Also, we're going to not power it. Also, we're going to move Lewis to the end because they're our most recent recruit. You can drag select all pawns in default mode by holding down the right click and just dragging them somewhere, so you can rearrange your characters as you see fit. Outdoors, this is going to get a penalty, and it's only going to be active at 90% of its normal work speed because it's outdoors. Then we're going to reconnect it so it's connected to this power conduit out here. That should power it off, which drops it to 45%. And on top of that, we're going to roof over the thing. Oh, never mind, it's already roofed. That should also decrease its effectiveness because no light. No light makes it harder for the pawn to work it. Then Lewis here is going to be making things of this, and the best build to give them is dusters. Dusters require 167 work, and they take 80 fabric. And we actually kind of like building a lot of dusters. So this will take them the longest to do with the least amount of material. As in, we're getting twice as much work as the material we're putting in. If you were to try and make something else, like even a hood here, hoods are pretty good, they're the second best, you would require 50 fabric and it cost 100 work. So you're getting 2 work for every piece of fabric. But other things like, say, a cowboy hat, that takes 30 work and only requires 25 fabric. So you're better off using dusters. Dusters are just the most cost-efficient way to grind up your skill. Plus, you do like having dusters on hand. At the same time, we're just going to set some details on this because it's very important. One, we're going to set it to Lewis to make sure they're the only one doing it. They're going to actually take the stuff inside. You know what? They're going to take it to the best stockpile. We don't want them leaving it outside. It might get rained upon. Then in here, we're going to untick a few things. We don't want them using any of these because they're actually valuable to us and useful. We don't want them using Thrumbo fur. That's also useful to us. And that should be about it. I should point out there are wolves down here as well, but yeah, we're going to use everything. It's going to take 80 resources to produce each one, and it should take them a really long time to make any because, well, they're in a terrible position and it's going to be in the dark and outside. Juno is going to be our third researcher. Yes, we need lots and lots of research. We are 33 days in. That means we have about 27 days before some of the nastier things become available, and or some of the nastier raids and attacks and events become available. So we need a whole bunch of research knocked out by then, and we're going too slow as it is. When it comes to corpse disposal, the moment you get Molotovs, things change. What you can do is just make yourself a roofed-in area, make that the stockpile, and then throw a Molotov in there. The reason the Molotov works is with a roof, the fire spreads. So we just set fire to those. That fire will spread to the surrounding corpses, and we don't have to do anything about it. Once it's started, it just burns itself out. Then we just tell our pawn to go back and equip their weapon. This means that even if it starts raining, these corpses will still keep burning. Some people will recommend an entire burn room. Don't bother. In fact, if you're really strapped or in an area that doesn't have its own natural rock formations, simply make a wall segment and then build a roof over it. Then people can actually bring along corpses while it's actively burning without risk of damage. If you put this inside a room, you're going to heat up the room and cause potential burn damage if people walk into it. And then you have to remember not to, or we'll lock the doors. No, just leave it outside. Make sure it's far enough away from any plants that you don't actually cause a fire. This is why it's built on this stony area here. And all the corpses will burn up quickly and efficiently disposes of them. These corpses are adding wealth to your map while they're around, and early on that's not that big a deal, but once you start getting attacked by 40 or 50 people, that starts to become more of a problem. With microelectronics finished, you almost want to start researching more stuff immediately, but I think I'm going to use our researchers to grind up some stones so that we can make ourselves a proper research lab. For now, this stuff was just to tide us over, but once we get a proper research lab going, we can really hammer out the research. Right now, we want to expand rapidly, so we've put down a couple of stone cutting tables right out here near a bunch of the marble we want to chop up. That allows us to make the stones much faster. In fact, we're probably going to move the tables over here as well, which puts us even more in range of even more marble we want to chop up. We want to sort of consume this entire area and then consume this area as well. We've almost sealed in this area as well, and then when we're finished that, we're going to seal in here. Normally I would keep the grids aligned, but the river has sort of interfered with that plan, and we've got a pond on the other side. So normally I would say take that brick and have it over here so that they're parallel with each other, but unfortunately that's not an option. We can offset them slightly, but this is going to be an entire crop area because it's all nice land. Now, some people will advise you to go looking for fertile land because it does grow stuff about 40% faster depending on the crop. But honestly, I've never really had that much of a problem. I don't mind planting just that little bit more so long as I'm able to make a defensible, scalable structure. We had 3 people who were doing science. Unfortunately, one of them could not do crafting, so I let them continue doing science. And it's med social. And they did watermill generators. The watermill generators are actually quite useful. This is the entire reason we settled on a river tile. However, next up after that, I think we'll be going straight for flak armor. That will require us to knock out a few things. Namely, smithing is required to get machining. Machining is required to get flak armor, and plate armor is classified as a prerequisite of flak armor. For example, if you click on it here, it shows you the locked prerequisites, which is machining and plate armor. So before we even start that, we got to do our smithing first. Don't forget to expand the home zone when you add new structures. This is to make sure that they will get replaced if they get destroyed, and at the same time cleaning. Now, we're going to fill this area in and make a science room inside it. One thing I should really point out to sicknesses, when your pawns get sick, they will immediately go back to their beds to rest. Well, assuming they're not doing a job currently. This is so they can get a tend. Now the thing is, getting tended in the dark is usually quite bad. It will result in a poor quality tend, so I normally keep a few lights around to put them in their bedrooms. This is why you actually make hospitals, is so that you always have a lit room. You don't need to light someone's bedroom. They will get a slept in darkness debuff, but that lasts until they leave the room and get light, so you normally don't bother with putting lights in rooms. I usually get the sick people to bring the lights there, it just speeds things along slightly. When it comes to this new science room we're building, I like to make it large enough for 3 science tables eventually. Normally you're only going to have 2 to start. However, they are expensive. They require 250 steel and 10 components. You only start with 30 components and you usually accumulate a few here and there just from killing stuff or cargo drops, that type of thing. But 30 components is what we have, so we could make 3. However, it would strip out all our components. Good thing to do at this point is start finding ship chunks. There's usually ship chunks around the map. You start with 2 or 3 and more will fall. Each one of those will provide components. Each one of these ship chunks is worth 5 components and 20 steel, roughly. With smithing complete, the order is plate armor, then straight along here to flak armor. Before we can activate these science benches, we're going to need more power. Each one of them draws 250 watts. Now right now I'm using a small trick. It's where you have a dead power wire out here and then you connect them to it by hitting this reconnect button. When you hit reconnect, these things wires jump. So if you'll notice here, you can see the 2 little purple wires there jumping towards that dead wire. That dead wire is just not connected to our electrical grid, so neither of those should be attempting to draw power from the grid. If you want to see how much power is on our grid, you just click on a wire and it shows us we have 150 watts of spare power. Neither of these would work anyway. All the rest of the power is going into running this, running the cooker, and running all the lights. Each one of these lights draws 30 watts, so it happens quite fast that you will run out of power. However, we did settle right beside a river, and this allows us to use one of the best power types in the game, the watermill generator. These are unfortunately a little bit annoying because you got to deal with a river in the middle of your base, but at the same time, they are very useful. One thing to turn on is toggle visibility of terrain affordance. What this does is turns the entire river blue and it shows you each chunk of it. Now, if you look at this watermill, you can see that there's a rectangle in the middle. That rectangle needs to be on solid ground. So long as the rectangle is on solid ground, you're fine. But then you see that sort of blade-like thing where the watermill turbine is going to be, that needs to be in the water. So the small box at the back needs to be on solid ground. The blade at the front needs to be in water. This can lead to some weird scenarios like, say, down here. Here we can actually keep the thing sideways as opposed to parallel with the river. There's all sorts of things. So long as those 2 criteria are met, you can place a watermill and it will generate power. This fits it in nice and close to our walls, and we can actually wall this in. In fact, you want to wall in your power supplies as much as possible. Your enemies will want to destroy them. Unfortunately, you can't wall in the water area with regular walls. What you have to do is come in under structures, make yourself bridges. What this allows you to do, let's see here, there, done. Once these are built, it will allow you to build wooden walls on top of them. You can't build heavy walls, but you will be able to build wooden ones. One second, there we go. So once that's built, that's what the bridge looks like when it's finished. Well, actually, we'll turn off terrain affordance, and then we can chuck down a wooden wall right on top of this. This allows us to wall it in. Enemies may light the wall on fire occasionally, but they tend not to, so this is usually a good way to keep your power supply safe. Always wall in your power supplies. This is also the reason that our fridge is located in here, so that we can have the exhaust pointing out into this large field open area instead of having it pointing out here. If you have your exhaust facing out where the enemies can attack it, they will set fire to it. Always. And this is now complete, and we have 1100 watts of power added to the grid. In fact, we're going to be adding on more of those because basically we get 1100 watts of power for 3 components, 80 steel, 280 wood. A chem fuel generator requires 2 components and 100 steel, no wood. But you then have to keep feeding it wood all the time. 75 wood will last you about 3 days, I believe it is. So over time, this thing costs you far more wood than just putting down more and more watermill generators. You still do have to repair them, so do put in doors so that you can get in and out. We will chuck in a steel door right there, and instead, actually, over time, we're going to be adding in more along the way, so we're going to be adding in more and more water turbines all the way down this route. Before we actually have access to the power, though, we do have to connect it up to our grid. This thing is basically full of power wires, and all you have to do is run a power wire from your main grid to it, and you're done. The actual power consumers, like electric stoves and all that, they can reach power wires within a certain distance. That's why you can see those purple wires coming off of them. This does mean that there are ways to switch off machines without using a power switch. For example, we can designate this as a power toggle, but a pawn has to come along and change it. Instead, we can just hit the reconnect button and jump the power wire from one to another, and that allows us to turn on and off machines without being anywhere in the neighborhood. Very useful trick. We'll be using even more of that later when we get into sun lamps. Once it gets a little bit later in the game, hunting dangerous animals becomes slightly simpler. Especially when you have enough weapons to really take them down at high speed. Done. That's an enormous amount of meat for the fridge. Our science room is coming along nicely, but it's not anywhere where it needs to be. If you click on it, you can see the research speed factor is 65%. That is terrible. Reason being, bad temperature, room cleanliness. Both of these can be fixed rather easily, if with a little bit of expense. One, we're just going to put a heater in here. The temperature in here is effectively too low. It's at 8C. We're coming into winter, so the temperature's dropping. We're going to put a heater in here, and then we're going to moderate the temperature to the correct amount. At the same time, because of the cleanliness issues, we're going to put in floors. Now, because we've already knocked out the research of smithing, that gives us access to steel tile. Steel tile actually has a positive to cleanliness. Most floors give you 0 cleanliness. Steel tile gives you plus 0.02 or plus 0.2. It's not as good as sterile tile. Sterile tile is a research you can get later down the line, which is here. Sterile materials is made out of steel and silver, so it's quite a bit more expensive, but far more clean, which will give you about a 10% bonus to your research speed. This only gives you about a 2%, but for the cost and the ease of getting it, it's well worth it. Before we can get the floor finished and see the complete difference, our research speed is at 98% because of indoor cleanliness, and the room is now heated up to 20°C by this heater. We've got a raid dropping right on top of us. Now, the first thing you want to realize is raid dropping right on top of you doesn't mean it's going to drop right in the center of the base. What it means, it's going to drop right on the center of a pawn. It basically picks a pawn and drops on top of them. And you won't really know which one it is until you click on this and find out where it's going. So somewhere around here, we want to grab all of our pawns and immediately find a new place. We're going to say over here-ish. You want to see exactly where they're landing before you make any commitments. Ow! Animal Clean just had a roof fall on top of them, and they've got a nasty cut to their head and a cut to their arm. They've got 8 hours left to live. Not good. Alright, we are going to have to deal with 10 enemies dropping right in there, and you have no idea what they're having. They could have explosive weaponry, flaming weaponry, anything. So we need to be incredibly careful here. Best thing to do, fall back. Don't try and engage them in combat immediately. Find a good place. Don't try and save buildings. Don't try and save walls. Don't try and save expensive stuff. Doesn't matter if it's your wooden simple table or they land right on top of your research room. Retreat. The most valuable thing you have is your colonists. For example, craft mine. They started off at 4 in crafting. They're now up to 7. Soon they'll be up to 8. And then they'll slowly grind their way up to 12, 15. Losing them hurts because we have to find replacements and train them up. Training up replacements is way too difficult. It's better to lose resources. Resources can always be recouped in a reasonable amount of time. People, not so much. And Animal Clean needs to get themselves... Oh, God, we're really going to need to sort them out. And I still haven't given a weapon to Animal Art. Well, in all fairness, I didn't think we were going to be getting this many people so quickly. You know what? You can go and grab yourself a bow. Yeah, there you go. You can equip that bow down there. So, very simple plan when it comes to these things. You just wait around the corner and insert bullets into heads, same as before. When it comes to... Oh, actually, you should probably go a bit further back. And we've even got Lubov here just around the corner. Animal Clean, go to the rear here. I don't want you getting involved in this. So, what we've got is 10 humans... We've got a few with clubs. Those will be annoying. Actually, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 with clubs. That could be very unfortunate. And a few with guns. And they're definitely going to break down doors on the way out. And as you can see, they've already smashed everything in that room. So, yes, let them do that. We want to wait until they come around the corner. And I made a mistake. I should have put the pistol people up front. I don't want that charge rifle getting caught up in combat. And there we go. Now we can pull back a little bit. Ooh, you should probably go back here. We're trying to tempt them around the corner. Wow, they survived an incredibly long time. Several of our people are badly injured. These things are the worst raids you're going to face for a long time. Unless they come down with explosives, in which case they'll be even worse again. We need to quickly do some triage on the people who are injured. Bleeding out in 20 hours, bleeding out in 8 hours, bleeding out in 16 hours. But as far as I can see, no one's lost any fingers, toes, or limbs in any way. Ooh, kidney shot, nasty. But by and large, everyone looks like they're going to be able to recover. We're going to see if we can't down a few more. We want to clean this place up, though, really quickly. That's one of the downsides of having them land right in the middle of your base. The actual destruction and everything like that results in a very dirty room, which reduces the quality of the room, which means everyone is unhappy because the room is less of high quality. Combined with seeing a bunch of corpses, it usually results in a massive negative mood for everyone involved. Thankfully now, our most recent hire is Bloodlusty. So our Bloodluster is also helping carry all the corpses, which takes the weight off our Build Art Hunt guy. So now both of them are able to carry them over there, and we just Molotov them, corpses gone, problem solved, and within 24 hours everyone should be fine. When it comes to the research, I forgot to do psychoid brewing. This is actually very important. I thought we had this by default. It allows you to make psychoid tea. It's one of the reasons we planted our psychoid plants right here. It's so we can crank out some tea to keep everyone's mood up in stressful situations like that. Some rare Thrumbos have shown up. These things are incredibly dangerous. We have several pawns, a lot of guns and weapons. Still, I would hesitate to take both of these on in the field. What we're going to do is shoot at one and see what happens. If both of them go Manhunter, we're probably going to have to run away. That's how dangerous these things are. Yep, they both went Manhunter. We're going to get off one volley. and then we're going to start retreating. Everyone back inside, the whole lot of you. And we're going to close that door behind us. Quick. Everyone in there. And, oh, close that door too while we're at it. Oh, that was close. Okay, then. Those things are insanely dangerous. How are you looking? You are... Yeah, no immediate danger. You'll notice, even though we riddled them with bullets, they're still not even close to bleeding out. They are absolute tanks. Not unless you're incredibly tough to even consider messing with them. What we're going to do is we're going to head over here. And then we're going to poke our heads out the door, shoot a few, pop back in. That's pretty much the best way to take care of them is peekaboo. And splitting them up. Everyone shoot. Okay, this is a mistake. I shouldn't have came out here. As you can see, even with all of those bullets, it's still absolutely bearing down us, and it's moving at 4.13. Do we run? I think we kind of have to. We're going to run back a bit more. Oh, that thing is way too close. Way too close. In fact, we're going to get Muppet to run this direction. Is it chasing Muppet? No, it's not chasing Muppet. How about Craft Mine, maybe? I think it's chasing this pawn. Okay. Oh, yeah, and we got a second one coming up. Great. How did... Yeah, left foot almost gone. That's why these things are so incredibly dangerous. We need to start spreading people out. Hopefully we can avoid the death here. Another common threat is Manhunter Packs. These will show up on the map as a bunch of wild, angry animals that are infected with a disease called Scaria. Downside of this is when you kill them, they most likely rot. A very high percentage that they will rot when you kill them, and this results in you being exposed to a lot of lung rot. Unfortunate. All you do though is find a choke point, and that's how you kill them all. Just using the same choke point we always do, we get our doggo up front, and then we just shoot them down as they come in. Last two. Finished. Now this will become more and more problematic as the groups get larger. Larger groups are going to give you more lung rot to contend with, which becomes hugely problematic later on. But for now, you can contain them with just a small little choke point like this. First thing we do, pile up the corpses and burn them. We don't want that rot gas getting out. That rot gas will rot people's lungs, it causes negatives, so it's best to just burn the corpses as quickly as possible. With flak armor done, we can start producing some protection for our pawns. At the same time, we're going to start preparing for the next section, which is solar panels and batteries. These are much cheaper, thankfully. For now, we have cut research, and we've got our 2 researchers helping out build these walls around here and do plants, animals, and hauling and stuff like that so we can get the necessary blocks. We're also making sure we finish out all the bedrooms so everyone has a nice room to stay in. We've managed to knock out solar panels and batteries before we have hit cycle 60. That's very important. You want to try and get your hands on those before cycle 60 because that's when things can start to appear that make those absolutely necessary. So now we're going to get back into weapons. We basically want to get around to gas operations so we can start producing heavy SMGs. At the same time, there is one other thing we want to do. We want to do production and we want to get our hands on a machining table. We'll stick it in here for now, but this will not be its permanent location. We're going to need to be upgrading our research. We'll be putting some extra research stuff in there later. So for now, that's just going to go in there so that we can make ourselves some helmets. This has been completely walled in. You will notice all the way around, this is all sealed in, so all the crops we produce in here will be 100% safe. At the same time, we've also walled in here, and we're making this our sort of farm animal location, and we're going to make this our power plant that was going to run this whole solar area over here. This should be fairly fast to get to heavy SMGs. We still have not actually completed the machining table. Machining table, still not done, and now it's time for one of the more annoying raids that people don't like, breacher raids. So this is a breach raid coming in. We've got 12 humans coming at us, and they do have grenades in there. Those grenades they'll use to smash down the walls. Now, if you've built your base this sort of way, we have walls everywhere, doors everywhere. What we will need to do is find out where they're coming in. We're going to find a nice central location. They're probably going to hit somewhere along here, and then we just need to find the breach, wait around the corner, insert bullets into their heads. Same stuff we've been doing before. Oh, yeah, they're heading this direction, or... You know what? Let's go outside and maybe shoot that guy with the grenades. You know what? That's fine. Research plants. You can get back inside, buddy. We shall leave the door open for a little bit. Excellent. The walls are still going to get knocked down, unfortunately, but that's fine. We shall close the doors again. The animals are going to go everywhere. This is an unfortunate side effect of this, but you do not care. Remember that. It's not about the animals. If the animals get killed or you lose them, shoot that guy with the Molotovs immediately. And we just wait around here and keep shooting them. Don't worry about the lost animals. Lost animals, things like that, they hurt, but the loss of a pawn is far more deadly. When it comes to putting pawns behind each other, try not to go any deeper than 5 deep. Okay, stop shooting at our walls. Oh! Yep, that's the problem. I want you to go here. Damn it, they are getting an angle on you. How? Oh my god, that's a hell of an angle you're getting. Alright, we're going to have to just keep retreating back, I suppose. Fine, we will just keep retreating if that's what it takes. And retreat back some more. Any of them that come around the corner get shot, but for now we're going to wait. They seem to be just targeting walls. I have no idea why. Okay, now, here's the problem. We need to keep an eye out for the big dangers. Basically, anyone with grenades or anything like that. And, okay, there is only a few left, so we should probably focus fire a few. If we can knock down about 2, that should cause most of the problems to disappear. We're going to target the heavy SMG and the assault rifle. 1 down. You 3, target that guy in the open. Target people who have the least amount of cover possible, and preferably the least amount of body armor. Done and done. And then we get everyone tended. That's basically the guts of dealing with any type of breacher raid. You just got to suck it up, let them destroy your walls. Whatever area they break into, you're just going to have to hold back, find a good defensive point, and just let them chew into your base. You're going to have to sacrifice parts of your base or your animals or whatever it takes. Protect your people as best you can. That hit kind of at an annoying time. We were just about to start investing in armor and helmets and things like that, but so far no one's died. The machining table is complete. However, before we get a chance to use it, we're busy carting corpses. We've got attacked by another raid. This one is actually a much easier variant. This is tribespeople, and they're just going to attack. Well, they're going to prepare for a while and then attack. However, you'll notice there is 24 of them. Now, this may seem scary at first, but don't worry. If they're melee-oriented people, this is just so easy to deal with. We are going to take this back inside, though. We would like to expand our population, and there is an awful lot of potential recruits right here. Problem is, there's an awful lot of potential recruits to look through, and this takes an awful lot of time. And trying to figure out who you want, what traits they have, and all that is very difficult. What we want is, we want another crafter, we want another planter, and potentially a cook as well, who don't have any really bad traits. Also, there's people who have unwavering loyalty, so we want to make sure we don't pick them. So I am going to recommend a mod. Doesn't affect game balance, but it does make it much easier to sort these things. It's called the numbers mod. This means we can sort by enemies, and we can go into miscellaneous here and list their traits. So we get to list off people's traits, we can list off their skills. So just say we are looking for someone who's good at crafting. We can then sort them all, figure out who's got the best crafting, and see, you know, this one's slothful, this one's got pyromaniac, annoying voice masochist. We can sort by this. It just makes it easier to find what you're looking for. I think we're going to go with squirrel. This one has good plants, which we kind of need. I want to have a couple of dedicated planters, and they can also double as cooking or crafting, and they're pretty good at construction as well. So they've got quite a few things going on for them, and they have nothing they're incapable of, and they're kind, which is a pretty decent trait to have. So, we'll try and recruit Squirrel here, but for the time being, everyone's just doing their thing. It's going to be a while before the enemy attacks. Also, I say again, this numbers mod, not entirely necessary. It does not change the game balance in the slightest. All it does is allows you to display information in different ways. Alright, Squirrel's in range of our Psychic Shock Lance. We zap them. Hopefully no brain damage. Excellent. We'll try and recruit them in a second. And then we'll just get off a few shots while we're here. And I think that's enough. Let's bring everyone back inside. In fact, I'm going to make sure the revolver people are up front, and then everyone else can go to the rear. Nope, right about there, and research and plants can go there. I've also set this pawn to not fire their grenades automatically. We want to make sure we fire these manually. The thing is, you want to start firing these grenades before they show up, otherwise you'll lock onto the people, and firing grenades at people is bad, because if the people move, where your grenades go will move. So instead you want to target the ground. This way they'll always target this section. Grenades can miss by 1 tile, so you want to make sure that you target 1 tile away from your walls, and you never want to be shooting more than 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles. If you shoot any more than 4 tiles and there's walls either side, you might clip them. So up to this, we're good, but if there was another wall segment there and there, we might end up clipping those. That would be bad. So we're going to fire grenades there, and we're going to continue this. The grenades should make a horrific mess. Now, Lubov here may go down, and if they do, we want to make sure we have people ready to slot in. So cook plants, well, craft mine or cook and plants are going to go in, because they've got the guns that will have the least amount of firepower to them. And, oh, watch this grenade go off now. And there you go. Killed one person and heavily wounded the other. Wow, it actually blew out their stomach. That is the joy of grenades. And, oh no, Lubov went down. Go here. I want you to go there. And you need to go here. There you go. Perfect. They're able to hold the door. Grenades are still doing a wonderful job. How many are going to go down with that one? Oh, 3 of them broke. That is the joy of grenades. They make an absolutely horrendous mess. and they allow you to break attacks like this just incredibly quickly. They also work very well against animals, though you can use water traps, which we'll be demonstrating later, to take care of animals an awful lot easier. This means pretty much all melee threats, including scythers, can be taken care of quite handily, especially if you had some good tankers up front. In this whole mess and snafu, we managed to actually pick up a couple of extra pawns. We've got Vold here, who's going to be an excellent cook, and they'll be able to cover our plants as well. And we got this pawn over here, who's actually good at construction. And might actually end up being a better artist than our current one. Also, social intellectual, not bad. So, an iron-willed, psychically dull. This was just an excellent find. One thing to note, though, when you're recruiting prisoners from a faction that's not your own, it's much harder. And by that I mean around your tech level. So, for example, these are tribals. So, as such, their resistance is much higher to us because we're from an industrial society. If we had started as the tribal start, these people would be easier to recruit, and the industrial people would be harder. You basically, it's like with like, so to speak, when it comes to recruitment, and it does mean that if you want to recruit a lot of people, playing as tribal does have a minor advantage that way. By using a roof method instead of using a room method, your pawns can actually keep adding corpses to the fire as it burns. It just makes it far faster to remove them. We are unfortunately experiencing a solar flare, which is going to make it difficult to upgrade our pawns just now. That's okay. What we can do now is get our hands on some extra meat, and we're going to do the hunting the way God intended. With grenades. Animals won't turn aggressive if you hit them with grenades. They only turn aggressive if you shoot them with guns, it seems. So this is a nice way to, well, kill animals without having to worry about them. Ooh, I stand corrected. It turns out muffalos can go Manhunter, though once you've been hit by a grenade, they tend not to be able to move too fast, so it works out pretty much okay. The shops have refreshed, so we can get around to doing some trading again. We can sell off all of the weapons that we've been accumulating, all the terrible ones. Now, they won't give you that much money, unfortunately, but it's enough to get you maybe a weapon or two. 413 silver for selling the weapons, about another 600 for selling the dusters we've been crafting very slowly. We are going to buy 1 Insanity Lance and 1 Telescope. The Insanity Lance will save us if a centipede shows up. And then we head straight back home. I will say grenades are messier though, but so long as you're okay with a little bit of blood, it's fine. Now, we have been doing a lot of research and it's time to start utilizing it. First up comes the simple helmet. We could have actually started making these a while ago, though steel was a little bit tight. You can make them out of other materials, but steel is usually the most cost-efficient one to do. You want to drop them on the floor. For any worker, you want to switch craft mine, and you want to do it until you have X. And then you want to set it to 1. We just always want to have 1 steel helmet in stock at all time. And we want to make sure that helmet is greater than, say, 52% hit points. And for quality, we want it to be normal quality or better. So long as we have a normal quality that's 52% or better in storage somewhere, this will stop. However, if we don't, it will make one. This way, if we run out of helmets or someone is finished with their helmet and they go grab one of the ones that are in storage, another one will be crafted afterwards automatically. We'll be doing a little bit more of that. For example, we're also going to make flak vests. And we're going to do the exact same thing. Has to be normal quality or better and 52% quality or better. Oh, and I forgot to turn down the ingredients on those, didn't I? We are now finally getting to the point where we can take advantage of the research we have done. Now, Craftmine is going to make a helmet here. Now, the moment they're finished, that's going to show up in this build because, well, it's in that stockpile zone. However, this won't last for very long, you see, because someone will come along and grab the helmet and start wearing it. And there we go. Someone's wearing the helmet, so it's no longer showing up in here. So what'll happen is, he'll have to stop and make another helmet at some point. They already have 1 flak vest. Oh, what are you doing? You're only supposed to have 1 flak vest. Yeah, okay. They'll finish the flak vest, someone will put it on, then they'll make another flak vest, so on and so forth. Same with all the helmets. Right now, everyone is putting on all the helmets, and we got 1, 2, 3, 4 people with helmets on. So we need to make a change to our assignments. Now, under here, we have the current outfits everyone is wearing. And you can see stuff that we forced them to wear. What we're going to do here is make a few changes. 1, no one's allowed to wear tainted apparel. We don't want them wearing anything tainted. That would actually decrease their mood. And they tend not to anyway, so you're fine usually on that front. Next thing we want to do is change this up here. We want to say people should only wear clothing between 51% and 100%. If they go below 50% quality, what happens is the pawns get very unhappy. And then we're going to make sure they wear everything from normal up. This is the only thing we're going to do for now. Oh, and utility-wise, I don't think they need to have shield pop packs or shield belts. And maybe don't pick up tornado generators, orbital power beam targeters, or anything like that. But they can't pick up those other things. Everything else I'm going to let them wear for now. But what this means is they'll wear these helmets until the helmets wear down or get damaged below 51%. At 51% or lower, they'll take them off. Those helmets will not count towards this build. So this build will still have that one helmet that's produced that has 52% or higher quality. They'll put that helmet on, and then the crafter will automatically come along and make a replacement helmet. So we'll always have a spare helmet around for everyone. We've also managed to research our next level of tech, which was gas operation. This gives us access to heavy SMGs, which can drastically increase our damage. So once the simple helmets are finished, we are going to make ourselves some heavy SMGs. Problem is they cost 4 components apiece. We need 5 of them to equip everyone with at least a decent weapon. So 5 of them by 4 is 20, and we don't have 20 components. We only have 11. So we're going to start mining components around the map. This is what components look like. You can mine them, but there's not a lot on the map. So soon after this, once these run out on the map, we're going to have to start acquiring more. And the only way to get them for now would be to buy them. We can craft them later, but for now we're going to have to buy them. So we're going to plant psychoid leaves. Psychoid leaves allow us to make drugs, and the drugs we can sell for money. The money we can exchange for components. I think we're just about to recruit another pawn. Yep, Vol. The resistance was broken. Now Vol here should go around and automatically do everything we want, which is they're going to put on that simple steel helmet that was lying in storage, grab an alpaca wool duster, and of course they're still missing some other clothes. We should get them some underclothes to go with that, like some tribal wear. We'll get around to that in a bit, but it does mean they automatically go and grab stuff. And once we've got flak vests, they'll automatically grab a helmet, they'll automatically grab a flak vest, and at the same time, Craft Mine is now automatically replacing them. This allows you a way to automate replacement clothing without having to micromanage everyone and tell them exactly what to wear all the time. Our next raid is a Manhunter Pack. We've seen these before. We'll simply fall back to this location here. We'll seal it off, and in fact, we're going to use grenades as well now that we've got grenades to make this even easier to handle. And they also took out a bunch of our traps, so they're at it. Vol, where are you going? Oh, yes, with new assignments, you should really make sure that they're all set to the correct medicine, and you should also make sure that they're set to attack by default. And I forgot the grenades, but it doesn't matter. We have enough people that this should be easy peasy. We have constructed a hospital over here. Now, I know we don't have hospital beds, but we don't really need them. All we want is a clean room that will always be lit so that when our pawns come here and sit down for medical attention, the doctor who comes along can tend them in full light in a clean room so that they get the best tend possible. We will eventually research hospital beds, but unfortunately they take a lot of components to make, so I don't advise building them until after you've knocked out mortars as well, and got mortars, your guns, your flak vests. After a while, the left side of your screen is going to be full of too much stuff. You're going to want to come down to this and change on toggle categorization mode on resource readouts. This allows you to imprint things into, say, blocks in one section. Then we've got your metals here. Then you've got your medicines and things. Only downside is sometimes you'll go just a little bit too far and start scrolling all the way left. To improve the quality of the bedrooms, we've floored half of them. This gets rid of sort of half the dirt, which brings everything up to slightly impressive. Even if the statues are only normals, they still get a slightly impressive bedroom out of it. Next up, we have a psychic ship. What this does is basically drive your people slowly insane because it is effectively a low psychic drone. It does seem to ramp up over time though, so you do want to kill them sooner rather than later. Normally what you do with these is we'd hopefully have mortars by now and we could mortar it from a distance and then lure them into our kill box. We have not managed to secure mortars just yet. Namely, we just don't have the components. We've been concentrating on getting our weapons up. However, to take care of this, we would normally use a Psychic Insanity Lance to drive the centipedes crazy, and then once the centipedes finished murdering everyone, it'd come into our kill box, or it'd get killed and we'd mop up the remainders. Unfortunately, there is no centipede, so we're going to have to kill these the old-fashioned way. Problem is, these are Lancers. Lancers do a high enough damage to one-shot your pawns, which is a big problem, a very, very big problem. But don't get too close. Now, I said everyone to hold fire. We don't want them actually getting involved in combat. Normally what we do here is we'd get our best melee people and get them to melee down, tie them all up in melee. Unfortunately, our best melee people decided to beat the snot out of each other, so there's that. So we're going to get the people with the worst weapons to melee and tie them up. We're going to have our best shooters then kill the remaining Lancers, and then once they've killed them, we'll move around and wipe them all out. We'll take some damage, but so long as none of them get any shots off, we should be unlikely to lose anyone. We have one pawn set to melee every single one of them. That should stop them from shooting. Excellent, that's one down. You can go over there and help out with that one. And then we'll turn around and shoot these ones. That's 2 down. You 3 can get over there immediately. And you 3 can get over there. Another one bites the dust, and... oh, wow, someone went down. Craft Mine, no, you're actually too valuable. Don't let them get a shot off. There you go. Whew. Craft Mine, what happened to you? You got beaten up by a Lancer? Oh, your melee is 3. Okay, fair enough. Well, we'll bring you back. No actual bleeding, so you should be fine. Right, and we also have to take out this psychic droner ship, so let's just immediately kill that now while we're here. The most important part of this tutorial is that we've reached the point now where we can make simple helmets, make heavy SMGs, and make flak vests. We can also make ourselves some decent dusters. We're going to throw together some Thrumbo fur dusters. They have quite good armor quality as well. You need to get yourself up one decent crafter, and you need to get the technology to be able to make these. Now, there is only one thing that can stop you from achieving this. One, there's not enough components on the map, but for that, it's okay. We can trade for them. We just keep doing the same thing we've always been doing. Except this time what we can do is we can buy 4 components, let's say. That allows us to build an SMG. Costs us 169 silver, as opposed to the about 450 we would pay for a full-on SMG. And at the same time, we'll be doing the exact same thing we did before. Selling off meat and selling off some of the equipment we've found stolen or crafted ourselves, like some of the clothing and things like that. And that will give us more than enough money to buy plenty of components. That is 41 components we can take with us. We are going to take those straight home, and we can use those to craft even more weapons, armor, and, well, okay, the helmets require exclusively steel. Steel-wise, we've still got plenty more there, and we've got another 3 nodes down here. So steel-wise, is usually be good for a while, but we are going to have to keep an eye on that. When that starts to run out, we're going to run into problems. At the same time, the only other thing that can kill us is toxic fallouts. They've been a possibility for the last 10 days. For that, though, we can actually roof in this entire area. We can build a roof over this section, and if we do, it'll stop the toxic fallout from killing everything. You'll notice they've set up these circular zones. This is to do with sun lamps. Sun lamps will fit in every single one of those sections right there. So we can throw in a sun lamp there, there. All of these places can take sun lamps. We've put in wooden pillars so that we can roof in the whole place. And at the same time, there's this section over here. This is where we would power the lot of it. 2 solar panels can power 1 sun lamp. So we'd put down the 2 solar panels for every one of these growing spots. That's why we're only growing with 4 so far. It would cost us 6 components to produce 2 solar panels. 2 solar panels can run 1 sun lamp. So we need 6, 12, we need 24 components just to run these, which we can now afford to do. Once they come back, we'll start crafting the necessary solar generators. Once the solar generators are in, we'll roof over this whole area. That means we have a sealed section. If we get cold snaps or anything like that, we're immune to it. And that's sort of the point here. We want to get to the point where we can't be affected by cold snaps. At the same time, we're also knocking out mortars. This will require us to to build mortars, build the shells for them, which is going to require chem fuel. So the next research after we get mortars is going to be the biofuel refining. Once you get the biofuel refining, you can produce the mortar shells. We could have been hit by a siege so far, and if it happened, we would have to go out to the field and fight it. That's expensive. Can be done, and we have a good hardened team to do it with, but we would prefer to have mortars. And finally, down here, you notice we've removed the door there, and this entire place is one open area. You notice it's extremely impressive because we put in a whole bunch of flooring and we stuck in a bunch of statues. So this place is now giving everyone wonderful mood boosts. Very impressive dining room, decent bedroom, impressive recreation room. So this is giving everyone a nice high mood, and we don't have to worry about that. The main bottleneck up to this point is going to be your component supply. Some people recommend you settle in small hills just so that you get more potential to get more components. My advice, just trade for them. That way it opens up all of the opportunities of where you can settle and definitely take advantage of the rivers. Being able to just chuck down a watermill generator, true it costs you a few components, but it definitely works out more time and resource efficient than wood-fired generators in my opinion. Anyway, I am going to cut this out here. I hope this is at least mildly informative for you, and good luck.